So one other thing I want, so many people asked this. I wonder if you can talk about it. One of the big sort of like mysteries of All Star 7 was quite a few of the contestants mentioned that there was a reunion filmed and then it got sort of like stopped from airing, which where apparently where a lot of the grievances about the show, the season came out, but then I guess it was stopped. I was just wondering if you could like talk about that a bit.
It exists. It's true. When Bob the drag queen dies, the FBI will hack her computer and they will post the unaired All Stars 7 reunion where for the most part all of the girls just aired their grievances about how the competition felt rigged around. And then we get affirmations from the one person that it would have mattered from. And none of that will ever matter because it doesn't exist. Until
So,
Bob dies.
yeah, so there were rumors that Bob, well, I think it was Sarah, I think it was confirmed by Monet maybe, but it was that Bob was like the host of it. So was it like an in-person thing, like a proper filmed thing, or was it just like you did it on your own? Like,
We just did it on our own because, who would have guessed this? But a bunch of winners secretly had more things to say about the season than was ever shown. And I actually think that 90% of the reunion would have been like, for people. I know I would have been the star of the reunion.
that I can totally see. Is there something perhaps like one little nugget you can share from the reunion to like give an example of the type of thing that you said?
I basically just said everything that I said here and elsewhere. The only nugget I can give anyone that'll get any sort of context anywhere is Jinx Monsoon agreed with us.
Yeah. I, I think it was one of those things that like Jinx was obviously from the start. I think she was definitely like a huge competitor, and I did wonder if she would win because she's like a triple quadruple threat. She's and she had this amazing storyline. But there were times I think a lot of us were like, eye rolling a little bit like you should have got something a win or like someone else should have. And I'm sure Jinx seems like a very self-aware person. She probably knew that herself, even if she's being benefited by that. She's like a
Yeah, I know,
self-aware
but
person.
can you imagine the impact of Jinx Monsoon coming out and saying, I agree with you in a reunion about all these people who otherwise could be edited as jealous, just trying to tear her down? That would have been impactful if such a thing existed.
Yeah, well, it does exist, but if such a thing were to be published, yes. But in general, I just want to say I personally really enjoyed you on All Star 7, and obviously it's upsetting that there was things that weren't quite great about it. But I personally think it was a great victory lap, and I think it was really important for someone like you to be on it because you were quite different to a lot of the other people. And we mentioned, so you mentioned your book earlier, and I really wanted to get on into that. So I was just wondering, could you tell us a bit about your books? I know from reading the sort of the synopsis of it that a lot of it is to do with your journey, maybe drag race, and like spilling some stuff in the book that you haven't talked about that much. But I was wondering, please tell us about your book.
Yeah, it's called All About Yvie Into the Oddity, and it's available everywhere June 19th. Uh, Pride Month. Go out, be gay, buy a book. uh yeah, it's an exploration. It's an exploration of, my life. It's all the things anyone ever wanted to know about what made me who I was. Um, I worked with this really, really awesome best-selling writer, uh, Michael Bach, and we did a bunch of sit-down interviews that felt like therapy, where we just like hashed out everything. And I'm so excited for people to get to read this book because, not everyone does get to sit down and ask 21 questions with their favorite drag race queens. And this book was like 21 questions and more, in the way that reading it back for the first time, I actually found out things about my own life I did not know. which is which is pretty wild.
I can totally see that writing about yourself, you almost like self-reflect on things. Is that part of the reason you wanted to write the book, or was there another reason?
I mean, yeah, I think the biggest pushing reason was I had come to this place where I've achieved a good amount of my dreams, and I want to reflect on what every moment has felt like and has meant to get to this point. Especially since I know that my journey has helped other people, has been a guiding light for some weirdo out there. So to like get it all out on paper just felt very, very important. And I don't know, it was therapeutic. It was therapeutic releasing a lot of this and being really excited because this I feel like this sets me up to start writing my future story. I went to Drag Race, let them write my story. I went back and let them write my story, and here's my first time getting to be like, okay, so here's what I have to say about Yvie.
Yeah. I know I'm very excited to obviously like it's not out yet, but it sounds like a great book. And I was just wondering, is there perhaps something that you can share from the book? Like, is there a really interesting part that maybe people wouldn't expect to be in it, or something that you've never talked about before? Or is there something interesting in there to give people an insight into what they can expect from the book?
I mean, it's an easy read, but it's also there's some very challenging topics in the book. I talk a lot about my childhood, not only growing up queer, but growing up in an abusive household, in a very complex parent child, other parent relationship. I talk about like my sexual isolation even as an adult, and how like that formed into me being the kind of drag queen I am. I've it's it If you like trauma, I guess. If you like trauma and drama, just know that there is plenty. And every time it's about to get too sad for you, there will be a pretty picture drawn by a real fan
Okay,
to
so there's
just
pic there's
sop up the
pictures
tears.
then. Pictures,
Yeah.
that's great.
There are pictures, I did a few I might have done a doodle myself. There might be a singular doodle from me in the book. It's my favorite page. That's all I'll say.
Oh, that's really no, that's nice. It's nice that you've got a bit of your. I mean, obviously the book is about you, but it's nice that you have your own input in the book as well.
Yeah. I mean, I had to a little bit, even if I can't read.
Well, I was just wondering, could you perhaps put your hand up and I'll superimpose the book? And if you could just say the name of your book again as if you're presenting it on The Price is Right or something.
You mean like this? My lovely book all about Evie into the Oddity, available on book places on June 19th, wherever books are made. The book factory, the book tree. Books really do come out of trees. And you can tell because of this book right here. All about Evie that I'm really holding right here.
Like so no, that's great. I'll put a link in the description to the book. And yeah, I definitely would recommend people go and check it out. It sounds like a fabulous book.
Oh, she fell. She fell. She was laughing so hard. She fell ass backwards out of her chair. I got to see RuPaul's real sweatpants flying over her fake hair.